Greetings adventures and welcome to ADVinJapan. So today what we're going to be doing is I'm going to be reupholstering my KTM 390 Adventure seat. I've seen a couple videos on this. It's looking pretty simple, you know, with my kind of limited DIY skills. I think it's definitely something I can probably handle. So I'm going to be doing that today. As we all know, KTM 390 Adventures know, the KTM 390 Adventure seat is not very comfortable, especially on longer rides. And I've got that Shikoku trip coming up again. I just finished Hokkaido. That was about 4,000 kilometers. This Shikoku trip is going to be pretty darn close to that as well. And one thing I did complain about was this padding was just not quite enough. It wasn't quite doing it for me. And then of course, I'm also dealing with some back and neck issues, so I wanted to have something a little bit more comfortable for this go around. So if you are interested in doing this yourself, the KTM 390 Adventure seat in specific, then definitely stick around as we're going to go ahead and get into it. All right, so I've got on YouTube and I've checked out a couple videos, people doing this, both pro and kind of like DIY at home. And, you know, you see a variety of types of materials used. I think probably the most common that I've seen is that gel type. And, you know, they sell that here in Japan too, pretty cheap. And I thought about going with that as well, but I wanted to get something more that my butt is used to. You know, I sleep on a Tempur-Pedic, and so I wanted to get something that was very similar to that. This is not Tempur-Pedic. I'm not going to spend that kind of money because I'm going to just destroy this thing. And what I did is I just went to the hardware store, went to the seating section, and they had a bunch of, you know, seating pads, and I just tested them all out. And I found the one that I liked with the right thickness. And I'm going to butcher this up and put it inside here, so we have a much nicer seat, something to sit on. So this is kind of indoor use polyurethane. It does have this really nice coating on here, which I'm going to make sure that I leave that intact. But I went ahead and purchased this, a little bit more expensive. It's kind of an industrial strength polyurethane, not as you know, thick as this one, not as plush or memory foam as this one is, but this is a little bit more heat resistant and cool resistant as well too. And this is also going to help remove any seams, you know, that exist from the polyurethane and the existing seat itself. Just going to wrap everything and glue it all on there, and then we'll go ahead and throw the vinyl back on. Now, I'm not worried about any water getting in here. This is a waterproof vinyl, so you know, polyurethane does not do very well against water, but I think we're going to be okay. You know, the underside here is obviously full plastic here, and the vinyl wraps around really nicely. The other reason why I decided to go with this is because I do like the height where I'm at on the bike. I like my ergonomics on the bike at this point, so I don't want to change that up too much. So I decided, yeah, kind of why not just do this DIY thing? I have full control over this entire upgrade. And plus I just kind of like doing this stuff. So, all right, let's get into some of the tools you guys are gonna need. Now, this is the first time I've done this, and this is not like my usual videos where I typically will do like the installation 1 or 2 times before I actually record. Yeah, believe it or not, you guys, I actually do that. I typically do my installations 2 to 3 times. I'll put the part in, take it apart, put it back in, take it back off, and then record. Just for you guys. So I make sure that I hit all the trouble spots. Now this, I can't do that. This is going to be literally, I'm just going to be going straight in and gutting this thing out and giving it a go. So what I've purchased is based on what I've seen in the videos. So obviously you're going to need some glue, some spray-on glue here. This is specifically designed to be used with polyurethane foam and plastic. So that's exactly what we're dealing with here. So this is going to work absolutely perfect. It should keep everything in there and prevent it from falling out or getting moved around. Or the needle nose pliers would definitely help with pulling out some of the staples. It may come handy during the installation as well too. We're going to need some good scissors to be able to shape that foam, get it into at least a beginning shape where we can kind of get the contours of the seat going. And then we'll further, I saw online a guy had recommended that if you're going to do polyurethane, that a sander really works well at kind of getting it really refined and shaped and whatnot. So I went ahead and purchased some of these you know, little sandpaper Velcro things for that. Then of course, as we start tearing out the piece, I'm not quite sure how I want to do this. I want to pull this off first and see what it looks like, but this will come in handy at getting a really nice smooth surface for the polyurethane to really get glued down and stay in place. And then finally, when we put the vinyl wrap back on, we need to restaple it back into that plastic. But all of this that I purchased today, including the polyurethane, and the industrial kind of strength polyurethane, everything cost me, I think, around $30 to $40 or something like that. So pretty budget here, and I think we're gonna have a really nice end product. All right, so with that, let's go ahead and get into ripping off the vinyl from this seat. You may also want to have a screwdriver. In fact, I think I've got one somewhere around here. All right, yeah, you're going to definitely want a Phillips screwdriver for pulling out these staples. So I'm going to go ahead and go fast forward as I pop these things out. Okay, I'm hoping that was the hardest part. But we got it off, so good to go. I'm going to go ahead and start peeling off the actual cover here. It's actually quite well fitted, which is going to be making it nice when we have to put this back on. All right, so here we go. Yeah, much harder than, you know, what I've got going over here. This is going to feel a lot better. Okay, so the next thing we need to do is go ahead and mark this thing up and figure out how I want to have this sit in. Okay, so as I started like looking at the design here, what this thing is actually made of and how it's attached, it's actually, that's it. Just that piece of glue right there is what was holding this whole thing on. Okay, so I've got this drawn out here. I went ahead and threw this on the bike, sat outside, and this is pretty much right where my rump sits. And this is the meatiest part of this whole seat. So I think this is probably gonna do it. I'm gonna go ahead and just cut this little trapezoid out. I thought about actually removing an entire section here, but I figured that would just make the molding process incredibly painful. The other thing too is I do kind of wanna keep this rigid material on the outside, as it's gonna go ahead and keep the actual shape of the seat itself. It's also gonna provide a little bit more support for my legs when I'm sitting down. And then also, you know, when I'm standing up and putting my knees against the bike. So yeah, I think it's probably a pretty good idea to go ahead and just remove this piece and then throw in the nice memory foam inside there. So let's go ahead and get into cutting this thing. So what I'm gonna do is, I've got my little razor here, and instead of cutting just straight perpendicular down, I think I'm probably gonna cut at a little bit of an angle. And what that's gonna do is it will, just from my days of doing carpentry and all that stuff, doing angled cuts definitely creates a cleaner joint and a more solid joint. So I think that's what I'm gonna do. And then instead of being an abrupt cutoff, you know, from the memory foam and then straight into this stuff, it'll be kind of a gradual fading into the other material as well. So I think that's gonna work out probably pretty good. So let's go ahead and get to cutting this thing. I bought this at the hardware store for like, I think maybe $2, really cheap. And it kind of allows you to get really precise. I actually kind of like this. Yeah, this is gonna work perfect. All right, so just cutting my initial line here. Go to the inside, and then slowly work my way on the outside here. Okay, very nice, good. So we can see that I've got a very clean cut here. This should actually cut the polyurethane memory foam here pretty well too, I'm hoping. So let's go ahead and start digging deep on this here. So again, I'm gonna be doing kind of an angled cut here, not straight in. All right, so I just hit bottom on that. Let's go ahead and go with the next edge here. All right, next edge here. Okay, good, I think we've got it. Nice. All right, she's off. Good. So we've got our nice, you know, a nice piece here to work with. It's all intact. And the nice thing about this, instead of pulling it out like you see some people do, what they'll do is they'll score and then they'll just start pulling stuff out, is that if this all doesn't work out, I can just put this back in place and I've got my original seat. The other thing too is if you want to go back and sell this, you can go ahead and do that as well too. Okay, I lied, it doesn't do much. Yeah, so I think we've got a pretty good piece here though. I think, you know, what I've got here so far I can work with. Yeah, so I wanna re-glue this. So just gonna score this up, get it nice and good to go. Let's go ahead and do some cleaning here real quick, get everything cleaned up, and let that dry out. And then we're gonna glue this piece on. In the meantime, let's go ahead and see. So it looks like the thickness we're dealing with here is pretty close. I may have to double up a little bit of this, which is fine because I got plenty of it. I got plenty of material here, so if I mess up, I can actually, I can go ahead and just recut it. So it's not a big deal. In any case, let's go ahead and get our first piece drawn out here. This stuff cuts out really nice. So just be liberal. I'm gonna go a little bit larger than what I drew. Great. Okay, and we'll get our glue here. Give it a good shake. All right, good. So she's glued on there. Okay, so let's go ahead and get our angles cut here. Here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna go ahead and line this up. Okay, and then we'll go ahead and draw our line on the inside here so we know where our angle should be at. Roughly, this is kind of where the angle should be. Well, let's hope I didn't take too much off. Yeah, I think that's good. Yeah, in fact, I don't have to take anything off the bottom. It's really just going to be taking it off from up here. So let's go ahead and draw our line here so we can chop this off. Okay, great. So we've got our line here. Now I want to transfer this to the back side. Well, I mean, I think I can probably gauge it here. So we've got about a 2 inches to 0. So we'll start up 2 inches and go to 0. Oh, yeah, it's just right there. So looks like we're good. 2 inches to 0. And again, you guys, this doesn't have to be perfect. Good, so I'm just working my way around this thing, snipping my initial line here. Perfect. And then what I can do is just go in and kind of just get deeper and deeper and making sure that I'm sticking with my 2 lines here. Okay guys, so I went out and tested this, sat on the bike, and you know, with it how I had it originally, with it kind of really nice and plush and set in there, I could feel my pressure on my legs here, so I kind of regret having cut that off. I wish I would have just kept it the way it was. So what I'm going to do is take some of my leftover pieces here, and we're going to go ahead and just, I'm going to leave these in here and glue them in, glue them down. Because this is memory foam, when it gets compressed, when I sit down, it's going to go level as soon as I sit down. And I could just barely feel the edges here as I sit down. But when I put this nice little piece over top, all that disappears and it just feels absolutely amazing, unbelievably comfortable. 10x improvement before. So I'm going to go ahead and glue this in here, and then we're going to go ahead and glue this on top. Much of that stuff in there. Put that down. Okay, we're going to go ahead and spray this. Whoops. Not that way. Spray this midsection again. And let's go ahead and get this down. Perfect. I like it. So you can see, you guys, here it's sticking up about maybe a ½ inch, and that's great because, as I said, once the memory foam, once I sit down, this is going to press it right up nice against there, and it'll sit nice and level with that. So if you're going to go with a memory foam, I definitely suggest sticking yourself out maybe an inch to a half inch. All right, let's go ahead and cut the shape out for this guy, and we'll go ahead and just wrap this really nice and cleanly around. Okay, so I'm going to glue little bits and parts of this just around the edges, so it stays where it needs to stay. So let's go ahead and spray this edge here. And of course we can go back and glue any spots that we missed if we have to. Yeah. Perfect. Very nice. Okay, we'll go ahead and get the other side here. Okay, may glue this midsection here too. Good. And of course, once we get the actual vinyl on here, then this is going to look even better. Good. Yeah, look at that. Man, that looks amazing. That looks great. It's looking really, really nice. Good. So as you can see, we've got everything glued in here very nicely. We can go ahead and cut. Good. So I think I'm going to leave a little bit so I can pull it around. And then we'll go ahead and finish off with the rest of this here. Yeah. Okay, let's go ahead and glue that. Good. Glue the other one here. Okay, and then we'll go ahead and trim this up. All right, I think we are ready for the vinyl. I think I'm gonna let this dry a little bit more. Okay, so I trimmed this up just a tad more to make sure that we would have, enough of this lip here to be able to staple everything down. But I think we're good to go here, so I'm gonna go ahead and throw this on here and see what she looks like. We may have to trim this down a bit. In fact, so I'm probably gonna do is just doing a test fit there. It's feeling pretty tight. So I think what we're gonna do is we're gonna trim this all the way to the edge. Perfect. All right, let's get this stuff out of the way. And let's get this thing wrapped up. Yeah, and that won't make a difference in terms of, comfort for me. It'll just make it so this will really most definitely, get where it needs to go. You don't want this thing, again, you don't want this thing coming off mid-ride. All right, I think I'm gonna go ahead and staple this front side first. Get our little staple gun here. Get everything wrapped up. Good to go. And we'll do our first staple right up here, top side. All right, this works perfect. So just a couple things to keep in mind as you're doing this. So the way I'm doing this is, I'm not sure if this is the way to do it, but I'm just working my way down on both sides. So I started here, worked my way out around the edges, and now I'm working on both sides. And the reason I'm doing that is because I don't want to do one side by itself, because I may end up pulling this over way too far, and then I don't have enough on this side to pull that leather around the lip, because it's really important to get this leather or this vinyl over that lip so that you don't put you know, the majority of that pressure right here on that seam. One other thing you want to keep in mind too is you want to make sure that you're pulling kind of down, and to, you know, if you don't do that, then what you're going to end up with is not enough room to be able to pull the bottom around the back side here. And so yeah, just as you're working your way, just kind of pulling down. And when you pull, I'm going to go ahead and do a couple examples here for you. When you pull, make sure that you're pulling on the vinyl. Do not pull on this, because this is just put together with a really small little stitching here, and that'll come out loose if you're yanking on that vinyl. So again, I'm pulling in this direction and down, just trying to get that lip over, and I pull ahead of where I want to staple. So that way I've got enough room to go ahead and get the stapler in there and get the pressure in there. Now, I would again recommend a pneumatic stapler. This is not quite doing the job. I have to go back through with my screwdriver and push those in all the way. So I got that side done. Now I'm going to come around and do this side and ensure that I'm following the existing stapling line as before, but also making sure that, you know, I'm pulling down and away from the existing staples. All right, and that should get the job done. So just work your way down until you get done, and yeah. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and finish this up, and then I'll show you guys the finished product. This is the finished product. As you guys can see, it looks hardly any different from the original. I'll show you a comparison photo here. This is it. I mean, very, very nice, clean finish I was able to do. I'd say it looks pretty much exactly the same. All right, you guys, so I just put her on here. I also have my kind of anti-monkey butt thing here. This really helps aerate everything underneath so you don't get that monkey butt. So I'm gonna use that, but it does sit plushly right where, you know, right where that little memory foam spot is. So yeah, just taking a look here. It doesn't really change the seat height. You know, having got on the seat too as well, I didn't feel like it changed my riding position, my ergos at all. So let's go ahead and get on the seat here. Oh, yeah. Just telling you, man, the comfort is just, this is going to do a number on my lower back, my spine. It just relieves all that pressure off the tailbone. I don't feel any pressure here at all. I do have sciatica. My family has been cursed with the sciatica, so I'm hoping this will certainly solve that. It's already feeling better. All right, you guys, so I'm here at my usual stomping grounds, and I'm going to be testing this out today, the seat. So I thought I'd just add this real quick to the video in case you guys are wondering how it felt on an actual ride. And to be honest, you guys, you know, having gone through all the preparation that it takes for me to, you know, get my bike ready and, you know, get on the trails, yeah, it's totally slipped my mind. In fact, I didn't even feel like, I just forgot. I forgot that I had a custom seat. It was so comfortable. So first impression on the road, fantastic so far. Really no problems there. And that's the biggest, you know, yeah, that's the biggest thing right there. Because when I'm off-road, I'm, you know, most of the time I'm up on my feet. So now I'm gonna go ahead and sit down and see what it feels like. Yeah, oh my goodness, yeah, just freaking awesome. Yeah, it definitely takes the bumps a lot better. Yeah, that's fantastic. It feels great, you guys. Yeah, definitely recommend this upgrade if you want to get a little bit of a plusher seat. You know, it's definitely going to do it. All right, you guys, so I'm going to go ahead and close this video out here while I'm here. So yeah, overall riding impression there, just fantastic. I didn't feel like it was any different than before. Other than that, it just felt a lot more comfortable. So no hindrances there. I don't feel like my ergo's changed a whole lot. And again, that was the whole reason why I wanted to do this DIY thing, because, you know, getting one of those custom seats, you just never know what you're gonna get. I'm sure if you spend the money, I'm sure you're probably gonna know what you're gonna get. But again, I don't have that kind of money out here. Shipping is really expensive. So if you're in that same boat, or, you know, you wanna just save a little bit of money and you feel like you can get this done, I highly recommend it. Just a couple things, you know, this is my first time, you guys, so I'm sure there's probably some things I could have improved on this. Again, as I mentioned before, I think probably one thing I would have improved is probably putting this a little bit further back, adding a little bit more extra padding back here, just to allow for me to shift my weight if necessary. But, you know, it's fine. You know, these little things are things that you guys can definitely improve on. Watch my video, watch the other videos that I post in the description too as well, and just make something better. That's what this is all about, right? We're just gonna kind of work off of each other. Put it on YouTube too, and I may have a look at it, and I may go ahead and upgrade this too. Again, just a fantastic upgrade. If you guys really found this video helpful, definitely like and subscribe. It helps bump this video up in the ranker and make it that much more available to people who need this kind of information. All right, you guys, so you know how it goes. Until next time, this is ADVinJapan, out.